I was 15 when I was in that pub. I remember having one shot after another, looking down at my glass and just thinking, how does it keep getting full up? Then I thought back to when I was 5, and in the same situation, looking down at the glass and looking at my father, and my father saying to me, go on, have a sip. That was the first time, that was the first ever alcohol drink I had. In that pub, I remember walking out and then blur, falling over and then nothing again, vomiting and vomiting some more, and the next thing was I was in the taxi. How I got there, I really couldn't tell you. The scary thing was, the next moment was I was at home. How I told the taxi driver where my address was, I just don't know. What if something happened to me? He could have took advantage of me. I walked into the house and I vomited. I just looked up and my mum was looking at me, but I didn't care. I just went to the front room and I collapsed. The last thing of that day I remember was looking up and looking into my mum's eyes and seeing the disappointment, seeing the hurt and the pain. I didn't even realise until the next day what happened. It wasn't until the next day that I could see my mum. I could see that she'd been crying.
As he walked through the doors, drunk, I was devastated and heartbroken. Thought he was better than that. Worried. He was too drunk to care about my emotions. I was angry, but I couldn't keep it in. But I had no choice but to be there for him. He is my only son at the end of the day. On the other hand, it was all my husband's fault. He gave him beer at the age of 5. It would turn him into an alcoholic at the age of 15. We had a big fight.
It's all your fault.
How is it all my fault?
Because you gave him the drink at the age of 5.
How are you going to bring up
Does
stuff
that?
from that long ago? How is it going to affect our son from what happened 10 years ago?
Obviously it would. What the child sees, what his parents are doing, it will affect him, it will influence him. How can you not expect him to be drunk at this age?
No, I don't believe
Also, you are denying it. How can he deny that? He's our son.
I'm not denying that I'm completely blame-free, but you can't blame me for everything.
Also,
that's
I can't
happened.
blame you. Parents are who teach their kids the right way, the right path. What did you show him? Which path did you show him? The drinking path. You know what this may lead to in the future.
I know I made
Why couldn't you just think of his future?
I know I made some mistakes and I accept that now, but you know what? I realise I should have taken more responsibility over my actions. You know, I shouldn't have given him that sip when I did. And obviously, you know, if you say it's affected him, then I guess it's affected him. You know, but we're not totally blameless, both of us. When we
What do you mean, both of us?
You know, when we went to weddings, when we went to parties and we were drinking in front of our son, that affected him too. I admit that I'm paying the price for what happened, you know, 10 years ago when I gave him the first sip.
Look, I admit it's both our mistake, our fault.
So you realise that when we went to weddings, when we went to parties, and both of us were drinking in front of our son, that, you know, what we were both doing was going to have an effect on him.
Yeah.
The Sikh Helpline, they came down, spoke to me, spoke to my wife, but first of all they spoke to my son, made him realise what he did was wrong, and they got him some professional help as well. I realised that I hadn't just given my son a sip of alcohol, I'd given him a nail for his coffin. Now I drink. I've drank for a long time, and for the longest time I knew I was ruining my life, but I didn't once think about the effect it was having on my son, on my family. I love my son. I don't want him to drink his life away. Now I don't know if it's our Punjabi mentality or if it's just a lack of individual accountability, but it's time that as a father, I stood up for my responsibilities. Going to weddings, drinking in front of my son, coming home from the pub every Friday drunk, having my friends over just for a couple of glasses of Jack. And you know what? It was all affecting my son, and I couldn't even see it. And that's the worst part as well. The Sikh Helpline, they came, they helped me see that, and they helped save my family, and for that, I'm forever grateful. You know, when we go to weddings and when we drink in front of our sons and our daughters, when I'm drinking, if my wife's drinking, you know, even some of our parents are drinking, what kind of an example are we setting to our children? How can we do that and then expect them to grow up all safe, all sound with no problems? Obviously it's going to affect them. It's just a shame that it took something like this to happen to my family before I finally opened my eyes and realised.
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
The clip that you have just seen is a reconstruction based on a true life case that the Sikh Helpline helped to resolve just over a couple of years ago.
The Sikh Helpline is here to help you regardless of how old you are, where you're from, or what the issue is. The Sikh Helpline is a volunteer organisation.
You can find Sikh Helpline on www.sikhhelpline.com.